All right, I think we're good. Sorry for that weird little technical glitch, but you guys are troopers, and here we are. We are all back together again. So we're talking about the memories that we would want to give to Jonas. So far we've talked about mostly happy memories, right? Let's think, are there any maybe sad memories that we would be willing to part with to give to Jonas? Or, you know, just not even, and not the most devastating, but even more negative memories. So those are things we carry with us. If we were going to try to teach Jonas about what it's like to live in our world, what would that be like? Okay.
I've been called worse.
So bullying, yeah, that's a very good example. Losing people in a car crash, yeah, that is very heavy. And I wonder, is that a memory that you would be okay letting go? Because some memories, even though they're painful, they're important to hang on to. They remind us of what's important in life, to, you know, never take the people we have in our life for granted. So it's interesting, we've all kind of gone to emotional pain, and that can be just as devastating, as impactful as physical pain. Oh, so okay, so someone, you saw this car crash happen on the highway. Okay, so it's not as personal then maybe. So then maybe it is something that you'd be willing to give away, to be like, hey Jonas, like, I know we showed you it's really fun to like ride in a car or whatever, but you should be aware also that bad things can happen when we have these giant machines that we are all operating together. Absolutely, these are all very good examples. Anyone else have any ideas of maybe more negative memories they would be willing to share with Jonas? Or you think that it's important for him to know? And these are from your own life, either from you personally or something you've observed with your own eyes. All right, awesome. Now I want us to think. So Jonas is going to receive memories not just from like contemporary people living that day, but people, he's got to absorb the memories of history. How many of us are taking a history class right now? You can raise your hand. Let's see. How many of us are in history class? This should be most of you guys, right?
Not now, but later.
No, obviously not at this moment, but I mean, are you currently enrolled in a history class? Yeah. Super good stuff, right? So tell me, what do you think if Jonas was going to come be a part of our society, he's going to somehow leave his community, what are some memories from history that you've learned? So not your own memories, but this is going to be kind of like transmitting your knowledge that you've absorbed either through reading or you heard a lecture, you watched a video. What are some of like the most key historical things that you're like, Jonas, man, you gotta know about this? What do we think? Like, hey, Jonas, if you don't know about this historical thing, you're gonna be really embarrassed. So we're done talking about negative memories that we're going to give to Jonas, and now we're thinking about historical ideas that we're going to give to Jonas. And if you don't have something like that's actually answering my question, please don't use the chat. So the chat isn't for JK, LOL, haha, it's for answering questions because we're in school right now. Thank you. World War. Okay, that's very vague. I want us to think about a very specific idea, because if you are giving Jonas the memory of a world war, that's a little vague. So let's try to make it a really specific thing. Like, I am going to give you the memory of Archduke Ferdinand being shot, and that is kind of what triggered World War I. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. The Holocaust, again, that's a super big event and idea. Let's try to narrow it down. I know some of you have read The Diary of Anne Frank. Possibly you can give him the memory of her writing her diary in this attic. When the Berlin Wall was torn down. Fabulous, I love it, that's a great example. So if you have ever watched maybe that news clip or read an article about it, you can say, okay, Jonas, here we go. And then Jonas is gonna see Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall. Perfect example, and that's super important for us because that wasn't even that long ago. It's part of our society and our pretty recent history. Abraham Lincoln's getting killed, absolutely. He was at the Ford Theater and John Wilkes Booth snuck in with the gun. Perfect example. That's important because if you're a student, if you're like a 12-year-old, like Jonas is, living in our world, that's an important thing to know about. SEAL Team 6, good example, or Pearl Harbor. Again, that is something, you know, December 7th, 1941, a day that will live in infamy, and giving them that idea of just the terror and the shock that it caused our country. 9/11, yeah, absolutely. So that would be something that, you know, Jonas, this is going to be really painful, but you have to know that this is a day that changed the course of history. These are all really wonderful examples. Good job, you guys. I think if Jonas was to come to our class, we would do a pretty good job of making sure that he knew what he needed to know to kind of be a normal functioning person in our society. Yes, it is raining. All right, remember what I said though? We're gonna keep on topic in the chat. Animals, yeah, that's right. So in Jonas's world, the only animals that they have are really just there for food. They don't have emotional attachments to a pet or anything. So tell me, which animals would we want to introduce him to right off the bat? Dog, cat, absolutely. I mean, those are kind of the most common ones that we see around. A horse, totally.
Pig.
Pig, I love it. Bird. Chicken, yes. A mouse. That would be important for him to know, right? Can you imagine if you were like walking around town with your new friend Jonas and, you know, a pigeon swoops down and he's like, oh, what is that? He freaks out because he's never seen one before, and you have to like calm him down and be like, dude, chill, it's just a pigeon. You have to give him the memory of a pigeon and tell him, yes, you see this bird? It's kind of a rat with wings. It's a little annoying, it's pretty dirty, and they're everywhere. So man, you just gotta get used to it, okay? All right. So now we have been introducing Jonas to our world and what life is like where we live. Now I want us to kind of switch gears a little bit and think, what about if you went to Jonas's society? What do you think you would need to know in order to kind of function as a normal person in that community? So very different rules, right? And when Jonas comes to our world, we have to teach him all of these different things. If we were to go to his world, what would we need to know to blend in? And remember, they are all about blending in, right? They call it sameness. How would we need to integrate ourselves so that we kind of just blend it in, no one's gonna notice? So we're done talking about animals now, and I've asked a new question that we can start responding to. Manners, yeah. What are some of the manners, the rules that they have in this community? Respect and apologizing, right? Absolutely. What do they say when they have done something kind of out of line? They apologize, and then the other person says, I accept your apology. Yeah, it's very, very polite. There's no lying. That's right. Lying is forbidden. And obviously, in our society too, we don't encourage lying. We hope that people don't lie, but it's not quite as intense as it is in this community. But Jonas gets to tell lies. Yes, that's a good point, Anna Sophia, that in his new role as the receiver, he's the exception. Okay, we've established, yeah, there's no bike, or there's no cars, there's only bikes. But I want to know, what would you need to know in order to blend in this society? You would need to know the rules, like you said, but I want to know, what are those different rules?
You would need to know what clothes you wear.
Yes, actually clothing is kind of a big deal. Remember we learned about when they're like 4, they get their first coat that it buttons in the back, so they need help from other people to learn interdependence, and then later they get coats that button in the front, so they learn how to take care of themselves. Absolutely. You might need your haircut. Remember, it was at I think age 10 when they all snip. They all get a buzz cut. Girls cut their pigtails off. Style is important. The schedule, yeah, Anna Sophia, that's a great one. Very rigid schedule, right? They get up, they go to school or they go to work, and then they have their volunteer hours or their training hours, maybe a little bit of free time. They go to bed. In the morning, they share their dreams with each other. That's a very important ritual. And then they thank each other for their dreams. Pockets, right? Like for us, pockets like don't really seem like a big deal. Like, yeah, whatever, my jeans have pockets, it's great. But for them, it was like, oh my goodness, a huge deal to get pockets. I can finally carry stuff around with me. Yeah, limited free time. What about language? What are their rules surrounding language? So we have no lying, but what do they call their kind of main rule about language? Think about the character Asher. He learned this the hard way. So precision of language, What do they mean when they talk about precision of language?
You like can't mess up a sentence or you get beaten.
That's right. They literally do beat the kids. They had that special whip that they would use to smack them if they didn't use the right words. So they're very, very strict about saying exactly what you mean and not exaggerating, not using any sort of colorful language or metaphors or anything to sort of deviate from the exact truth, which to me sounds a little intense, right? just not how we operate in our society. Remember, Jonas said, oh my gosh, I'm starving, and he got in trouble. Was he actually starving? No, he was just really hungry. But the society cracked down and said, hey, do not use that word. It isn't true. So think about how you talk every day. Do you think you might get in trouble if you lived in Jonas's community because of how you speak? And let's hear some examples. Yes, you probably would be in trouble. What do we think? How do we speak every day? What about something that I've seen in the chat that I would like to not be seen anymore? LOL. When you type LOL, laugh out loud, are you actually laughing out loud? Yeah, generally not. I mean, yeah, okay, it's possible. But usually when people say LOL, they're doing this. Like, whatever, JK, LOL, haha, right? We're not actually laughing, we're just saying that we're laughing. Maybe we're laughing on the inside. But the idea is that in Jonas's society, if you said, I'm laughing out loud, and you were not actually, ha 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 ha, smack on the wrist, you're not using precision language. Can anybody else think of an example of how we talk? Yeah, slang in general, but let's get specific. Let's get some examples.
What do you mean?
So what language do we use that would get us into trouble if we lived in Jonas's community? I'm gonna die. Fabulous example. Oh, it was so boring, I was gonna die. Oh, it was so difficult, I was gonna die. Were you actually going to die? Probably not. But again, the idea is we like to exaggerate a little bit to get our point across, but that is not allowed in Jonas's community. Yeah, everyone, when we're using the chat, we're only gonna chat to everyone, okay? Because we all wanna be able to see what each other are writing and participate.
Can you see the private chat?
I can see everything.
Wait, can you though?
I can. I'm burning hot. Anna Sophia, that's an awesome example. Are you actually burning like your skin is on fire? Ah! No, of course not. But you're using that kind of heightened language to get your point across, that you're uncomfortable, that you don't like the temperature. If you were living in Jonas's community and you wanted to say that it was a little too, you're too hot, you're uncomfortable, you would need to say that exactly. It is too hot, I am feeling uncomfortable, I would like the temperature to go down. You couldn't use any sort of heightened sensory language, not allowed. I'm going to melt, same idea, right? Are you going to melt? Well, probably not. But we like to talk like that, and we do it all the time without even really realizing it. I'm freezing, right? Have any of you been in the snow before? Let's see, raise your hands. Some of us have, yeah. And let me tell you, there are times, like when I lived out in the Midwest, when I could say I'm freezing and it would be true. Try -20 degrees. You just, absolutely. But especially where we live in nice sunny Southern California, although not right now, it's raining. But even if I was to go outside and get, in the rain, I wouldn't be freezing. I would just be maybe a little cold, a little chilly. But if I lived in Jonas's society, I would have to say that. I am a little cold, not I am freezing. we're gonna crush that soccer team, right? Are you actually going to crush them? No. What do you mean? We are going to defeat them, or we are going to beat them in the game. You'd have to be very specific with your language.
Isn't beating like hitting someone?
Yeah, that might even get you into trouble. Like, no, you're not gonna beat them with your fists. You're going
Gonna beat
to
you.
score
When?
more goals than them. You'd have to really spell it out nice and clearly if you were living in Jonas's community.
I'm gonna win you.
I am going to beat you in that online video game all day, all the time.
All day, all the time, right? We use these exaggerated forms of time. Are you going to be playing video games all day, all the time?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
I
Well,
mean, yeah.
hopefully not. No, you're not. So in Jonas's society, again, that would cause some problems. You would probably find yourself getting a talking to by one of the elders. So, very nice job, you guys. That was a great kind of discussion about the different ways that our society is different than Jonas's. So we're gonna stop chatting for right now and listen for just a minute, okay? Thank you, everybody. So to kind of give you a preview of chapters 11 and 12, which remember you're gonna be reading on your own, I have a little something. So when Jonas was playing
Whoa.
catch with his friend Asher, something happened to his apple.
It changed.
Changed midair.
It changed somehow. Yes. So if you finish the book, hang on for just a minute. We don't want to give out too many spoilers. But tell me, for those of you who have been in class, what are some of the things we predicted might have been the change that overcame the apple?
He sees the future.
We saw the past.
Yes, Anna Sophia, what do you think?
It could be like a memory because the crowd changed and maybe it happened only to him because he was the keeper of memories and that happened to the past keeper of memories.
Okay, very cool. So but right now I'm asking, what do you think might have changed about the apple when it was being tossed back and forth between Asher and Jonas?
We might have seen the apples past.
Might have seen the apples pass. So maybe it turned into like a little apple seed for a second. Like, wait, what? What were some other ideas? We talked maybe it changed shape a little bit. Like this apple is, fairly round in shape. Maybe it like became a square all of a sudden. Maybe its size changed. Maybe it like got really big or shrunk really small. What do we think? It went invisible. Yeah, maybe he couldn't see it at all. It just like completely disappeared for a second and then it was back. Could be, could be. So let me ask you, so let's stop chatting for a minute. If I asked you to describe this apple to me, what words would you use to describe it? Go ahead and start putting your answers in the chat. What would
Red.
you use to describe this apple?
Circular.
Circular, absolutely. Yes, it's not a real apple. Thank you for noticing that. Okay, I see a shiny red. Red, heavy. No, it's not too heavy. Red,
Leafy boy.
red. All right, so good. We are done now. We're gonna pause on the chat. Thank you. So most of you noticed that, yeah, this is a red apple. Now, what if I told you that in Jonas's world, they can only see in black and white? If you told Jonas this is a red apple, that would mean nothing to him. He would have no idea what you were talking about. How would you describe color to someone who has no concept of it? What do you think? Yeah, you'd be like, okay,
I'd give up.
what's a color? You would give up? No, we're not going to do that. That's not an option. We're going to give it our best go. What do you think? If you were like, hey, Jonas, check out this cool red apple, and he couldn't see the color red, how would you describe that? What do you think? And I know that's challenging. So if you try to give him the memory of color, maybe that could work. Maybe if you have the memory of color in your brain, maybe if when you were giving it to him, that could work. We'll see if that's what happens in the story. But it's hard, right? Because if you don't have language to describe something, it doesn't exist for you. And if you don't have eyes to see something, it doesn't matter what words you use to get it into your brain. If you can't picture it, then it isn't going to exist for you. So color. Can you imagine a world without color? How many of you have ever seen The Wizard of Oz? A lot of us? Yeah, awesome. The first part of that movie takes place in the black and white version of Kansas, right? It's all just black, white, and kind of shades of gray. And then what happens when Dorothy steps out into Oz?
A witch tries to kill her.
But what happens? We're
becomes
talking
colorful.
about it goes from black and white to what?
To color.
Colorful.
Full color.
The
I mean,
colorful.
wow, it's super overwhelming. Like, whoa, just the world comes to life. So I want you to think, what would it be like if we didn't have color? If everything was like an old black and white film.
I can't imagine it.
Oh, what's the difference
Totally
between
hard
an
to
orange,
imagine,
an
right?
apple, and a pear?
It would be pretty cool, to be honest.
Might be kind of cool, kind of that old vintage look everywhere. You would be mad. I'd probably be mad too. I really like color. I think it's a lot of fun.
When I was younger, during black and white movies, when I would watch them with my parents, I was just like, dang, color wasn't invented back then.
A lot of people might think that when they're little, right? You see old black and white photos of your grandparents and you're like, they didn't have color back then? And it's like, no, they did, just not in photography quite yet.
I thought that
Yeah,
too.
you would only know the colors black and white. The very limited color palette. So, I want you to think, in The Giver, Jonas is slowly going to start to have the ability to see color. So, when he sees the apple, he is going to be able to recognize this as red. I want you to think, if you had to choose just one color out of all the colors to be able to see, which one would you choose and why?
I don't know how to answer that.
Black.
Take a minute and think.
Black.
Turquoise, I guess.
Turquoise, ooh, that's actually my favorite color, so please tell me why you would choose turquoise.
I don't know.
Rainbow, so I can see them all.
That's cheating. I said to pick one color.
Yeah, rainbow's a color.
No, it's not.
I would choose
Blaine, what is a
black.
color that you've never seen before?
I would choose black.
So you can already see black, so we're going to choose a different color. Blue. Why do
you
you
can
choose
see
blue?
every color.
Neon green.
Neon green, okay. You got to tell me why. Don't just name a random color.
Neon green would just hurt your eyes.
Well, you could see it like from a far distance.
I
You
love,
got a
Sophie
point.
said blue because then she could see the sky. That's great. The
But there's not
sky,
a lot
if
of
you're
things that are
outside,
neon
takes up
green.
a lot of your vision. So at least a lot of what you were looking at would be in color. And if you go to the beach, hey, then, you know, the ocean, you could see the blues of the ocean and the blues of the sky. That could be really pretty.
Wait, if you're
Oh,
colorblind,
I
is
would
the
do
sun still
black.
bright?
The sun would be bright,
Whoa.
yes, but you wouldn't be able to see its yellow color. So it would be dimmer.
I'll be right back.
What about if you are, like, if you play a sport, maybe green would be a cool color to see. That way you could always see the field. And especially if it's soccer, well, you've got a black and white ball, you can see all the green grass. Might be pretty nice. Red actually might not be such a bad choice because think about when you're driving. Seeing a red light is pretty important. Or like
Then you wouldn't see a green one.
stop sign, I mean, just for safety.
Or a red button not to push.
Yeah, a lot of times the color red is kind of used as like, caution, 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 don't do this, stop. So just for your own bodily safety, seeing the color red might not be such a bad idea.
Isn't red danger and then yellow's caution? Because yellow caution tape.
Well, they kind of go, they're kind of both used. But yeah, yellow might be another one. You could see yellow lights in traffic. You could see yellow caution tape. You could see kind of the yellow lights in the sun. That would be nice if you go to the beach. Maybe if there's like kind of the yellow of the sand. You could see yellow hair.
Orange.
So we have a lot of blue. Yeah, I totally agree. Green, nature, yeah. I mean, if you go to the forest and you're walking around all these pine trees, it would be really nice to be able to see all of the green. Or if you go to a jungle, same idea, right? A lot of those plants, the shrubbery, it's gonna be green. If any of you like to garden, green might be a very important color to be able to see. And again, back to our traffic light example. Green light, okay, I'm good to go. But
Red.
it's kind of difficult to picture life without color because we take it for granted. We're so used to it. So that is something that while you read chapters 11 and 12, I'd like you to keep thinking of. What memories, kind of going back to the beginning of class, what memories is Jonas receiving that I maybe think about giving him? Think about what would life be without color? How would that affect my kind of everyday life? I mean, fashion-wise, it would probably affect you. If you can't see color, you might end up wearing super mixed match clothes, but hey, if everyone else is kind of colorblind too, then I guess it doesn't really matter. So are there any questions about what you're going to do before next class? So we've got the giver, my class, we had just finished up chapter 10. So you're gonna be starting chapter 11, which please stay tuned. Has everyone been on the YouTube page? Let me see, is that something we're all kind of aware of? We know that it exists.
No, I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, well, we have a YouTube page, and actually what I'm gonna do now before we go is I will pull up the link to that. That way you guys have quick access to it, and you can see all of our videos are being recorded, so you'll have a chance to go back and watch them later. And like I said, the video of me reading chapters 11 and 12 are going to be posted here soon. So you can go and have that ready to you. All right. So that is the link to our Seashore Academy YouTube. You're welcome to go there and check out any video that you might have missed so that you don't fall behind. Again, I'm super excited for you guys to keep reading The Giver. It is a fabulous book and things are really starting to pick up now. So we're gonna learn more about who the old receiver is. Remember our little friend Gabriel is gonna be a pretty key player here. So please let me know if you have any questions about it. You guys did a great job today. I love that you shared your ideas, and I know that as we get used to the online format, we'll continue to have awesome discussions about The Giver. So without further ado, does anyone have any final thoughts or questions they'd like to share?
No.
Yes, Anna Sophia.
Are there any chapters you would like us to read at home?
11 and 12.
Okay, and can you just not end the meeting because I have to write this down?
Oh, the link?
Yes.
Okay, sure. Yes, Elijah.
Thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. Thanks for being here today, dude.
Okay, bye.
The book, remember, who was it that said that there is an online link to the text?
Wait, can we go now?
Well, hang on. Does someone have the link to the text online?
The link to the what?
The link to the text of The Giver online. So we
Yeah.
have copies
I do,
here. And if you don't feel comfortable coming to pick up a copy, then just search online. This is also, I mean, pretty readily available in the library. There it is.
They not
Thank you
use
so
cars.
much.
And they not use cars because they can't see like stoplights.
That's right. All right, glad you have fun. Okay, there is the text many, many times. We're gonna end the class here today, but I will see you guys again soon, okay?
Wait, I haven't written it down. I'm so close. S.
I'm
You guys are free to go. Thank you.
T. M. J.
peace.
Peace.
K. A. U. 2. G. Okay.
All right. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.